is Ridwan Ibrahim Asante. Hello and welcome to the Joy Sports Track. So we are back from a weekend where Liverpool returned to the top of the EPL table and Chelsea perforated Manchester City's unbeaten record with a 2-0 win at Stamford Bridge.
And Mo Salah's got the opportunity for the hat-trick. He's still going and has the match ball. His second Liverpool hat-trick to make it 4-0. Well, after 3 games without a goal, he's got 3 in 1 game.
Pedro across to Willian. Great run by Willian. Hazard's pullback. Here's Kante! A brilliantly executed Chelsea goal. And what a finish from N'Golo Kante. It's their first shot on target in the game. Up goes David Luiz! David Luiz scores and Chelsea have a 2-0 lead.
So that happened at the weekend. Liverpool now, but then next week will be very, very difficult in the Premier League with Anfield rivals playing against Manchester and pair also with City facing Everton. And then we've got, that big one also, Liverpool versus Manchester United. Sorry, I said Anfield pair, but it's rather Merseyside pair of Liverpool and Everton facing Manchester opposition there for you. Still here on the Joy Sports Track this afternoon, Isaac Dugbe trended throughout the weekend for all the wrong reasons, I guess. A poor performance, crashing defeat, and a relinquishing the WBO Super Bantamweight title.
12 rounds of action. We have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Alan Nace scores about 115 to 113. Anthony Keolillo and Don Ackerman both scored about 116 to 112. All 3 in favor of the winner. And the new WBO Junior Champion of the World, Emmanuel Vaquero Navarrete.
So that was the verdict after 12 rounds of action at Madison Square Garden. Then we'll be hearing from Isaac Dugbe's camp as well. There's official explanation to that poor display by Isaac Dugbe. We'll be getting details here on the show. Also, local football and Kumasi Asante Kotoko travel this week, midweek, to Kenya to face Kariobanki's Sharks FC in the CAF Confederation Cup. Now, will the altitude and also lack of competitive football since May pose a serious threat to their campaign? And the final phase of group matches in the UEFA Champions League will be on this weekend. All wrapped up here on this edition of the Joy Sports Track with me, Ridwan Ibrahim Asante, and the team joining me later.
In this fight, Isaac did not go into this fight fit because we had to use the sauna, and steam room and all the madness to lose the weight. Because, when we just did not, I wouldn't say we prepared, but not like how we used to prepare, because we're having a lot of visitations. Like we had all these royal visits, and then we had on the Ogbejocho, we came. Isaac had to travel from training camp to Ghana, again, travel here and there. You know, we did not have a full training camp. So that really cost us, you know, this fight. And we underestimated Mexican, and, you know, and we're relying on our power, you know, and you can see Isaac's legs were gone because he wasn't fully fit, you know. So what we can say is, you know, I told Isaac I'm proud of him. He's never let me down. This is not a letdown. At the end of the day, you know, he's been winning, so he has to also test defeat and bounce back.
You know, so you heard Paul Dogbe, father of Isaac Dogbe. He's also trainer for the dethroned WBO Super Bantamweight champion, you know, at the weekend. So reactions are coming in now. So official explanation to that drop performance there from Isaac Dogbe in the ring at Madison Square Gardens. We'll be looking at the analysis for you. What really happened and transpired in the ring. Is that plausible enough? Is that excuse, you know, good enough? Talking about the distractions, where they had to go, where they wasted a lot of time with the extracurricular activities. How did it affect Isaac Dogbe in the build-up to the fight? Or this is simply, you know, stock excuse, nothing to accept from the camp of Dogbe. But even before that, we would like to hear more from Paul Dogbe. Extensively there, talking about the performance he put up there. But first, before we get to Paul, Isaac will follow suit in his post-bout interview after that performance. Shambolic display there from the former champions didn't meet expectations at all.
All I've got to say, no. You know, it was a great fight. Emmanuel Navarrete, he fought like a true Mexican. He fought a great fight, and I couldn't stay down. You know, champions are not meant to stay down. We are supposed to go down, get back up, and keep fighting. And that's exactly what I did. We underestimated him a little bit. But look, this is a fight game. The best is supposed to fight the best. At the end of the night, the best man won tonight. And I can only say congratulations to him. And this is what the division needs. You know, if the best is out there, we have to face the best. That's what keeps the division buzzing. I didn't have the best of training camp this trip. But look, I came out here. It's unfortunate that I'm not leaving with the title. You know, but he's taught me a lesson. You know, I've learned a lesson that I cannot take things easy. We've got to work as hard as we were and keep maintaining the hunger that we had before we captured the title.
So you heard Isaac Dogbe in that interview after the fight. A bit, you know, disturbing. The performance raised a lot of questions about his credentials as a true boxing supernova. But reactions have come in, you know, mixed reactions have come in now. Accepting that explanation, first question is, how does a boxer go into a ring underestimating his opponents? Is that possible? Is that excuse even to be tolerated? We've been joined by the team here. George Ade Jr. is with me inside the studios right about now. First of all, your reaction to the defeat. Is it about the magnitude of the defeat? Is it about the way he performed poorly? You know, what about the whole showcase leaves you wondering and talking about the defeat?
Yeah, Redwan, I think the responses that have come after the bout makes it very difficult to believe what it is. I thought that the corner of Isaac Dogbe failed to react to what was before them. And if they came into this not even expecting that the Emmanuel Navarrete was going to be as good as he was, what happened to the reaction and the instructions to be given to a boxer in trying to deal with it? Because, you know, I am not a boxing guru like Nat is, but I was just looking at it. Redwan, you're up against someone who is taller than you, who clearly has a reach. And we spoke about this, Nat, on the locker room, and we said what Isaac Dogbe needed to do was step in, work on the body, and get this happening. I don't know what happened, but throughout the whole bout, it was so difficult for him to do so. He never had a clue. He never could get close to Emmanuel Navarrete. And for me, Redwan, it's the manner in which he lost. And we've been talking a lot about his defense, also absolutely poor. And it's a sad one for me because I think quite a number of people were very excited with what Isaac Dogbe had started with. And it would take a lot to bring it up there. I'm not saying that you can lose a bout, but it's something that they could have dealt with. You know, unfortunately we have made Emmanuel Navarrete look very good, I don't think he's as good. If he was very good, he probably would have gone out for a knockout. I think it's just straightforward. They failed to get the job done and they failed to react, and it's such a bad loss.
Navarrete didn't boxing masterpiece.
Not at all.
He's not a boxing technician, trust me. But how did Dogbe allow himself to be battered, to be disfigured, to be pummeled, to be clubbed in such a way? It's still astonishing, shocking for me, if you ask me.
Ridwan, there are days in boxing when everything deserts you. Your inner spirit deserts you. The style for which you're known deserts you. And your reflexes also desert you. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of Dogbe, and I guess that was what happened on the night. I have listened to Paul over and over again. I've listened to Dogbe himself. I'm glad about their frankness and the admission of the fact that they did not prepare well for this fight. It just goes to tell all of us that whatever you do, preparation is always key. At least in boxing, or in the field of boxing. I mean, we've heard our very good friend Bukom Banku say this time and again. No matter what you do metaphysically, no matter where you go, no matter where you think you've been, preparation is the platinum mine. If you don't have preparation, forget it. Let me just refer to two examples. I'll begin with Oscar De La Hoya versus Manny Pacquiao. And I say Oscar De La Hoya versus a then, up-and-coming Manny Pacquiao. The legendary Larry Merchant said this once, that on the first day when he proposed that fight, the boxing world came down heavily on him. And they said, look, are you crazy or something? How can you put up the golden boy of boxing against this little kid? He will destroy the little kid. But guess what? It was a total opposite of what all of the boxing gurus and all the big names and all the, the movers and shakers in the sport had predicted. So, in giving you that example, all I'm saying is that surprises do happen in boxing, and upsets will happen on the days when you do not expect them.
Yeah.
Let me also then use the example, and talking about preparation, let me use the example of Mike Tyson versus James Buster Douglas. Here was a Mike Tyson who was high-flying. He was giving all of the big knockouts to all the opponents who had imposing physiques and all of that. And then came about from a challenger to be fought in Asia, Tokyo, Japan to be specific. So Mike Tyson goes in there feeling all good, seeing all of these pretty women around him, and forgot the thing that brought him into the limelight, and that one thing that he'd been riding on all the while to deliver those class acts in the ring, which was training. So he gets in there and decides not to train and enjoy all the beautiful golden roses that were being, thrown around him of the moment. And what then happens? He goes in there and he gets the big lesson of his career. I'm very sure that if you talk to Mike now, he'd look back at that particular day and say, I probably should have done something different. My problem here with what I've heard from Camp Dogbe, especially from, Paul Dogbe, is that, Dogbe has great potential. He has the potential to become a king in this ring. He had the potential to become the undisputed king of the division, wherever he would have eventually settled, be it featherweight, be it lightweight. But you see, this is only the beginning of the journey. And I get worried when the people who are in charge of running the show or traveling that journey or moving the wheels that will run that journey speak like this. I mean, we all know Dogbe's routine. I mean, to a large extent, he's somebody who was courting a lot of love. So anytime when he's in the country, he has to go around, visit people and all of that. It's all part of it. But hey, for crying out loud, I mean, this is a fight we're talking about. I know many people do not know this, but Floyd Mayweather Jr. cancelled his visit to West Africa just because of that 50th fight that he against Conor McGregor. He cancelled the visit to West Africa when people had paid for him to appear here and in Nigeria. He cancelled the visit because he had to hit the training gym. And these are the little lessons we need to learn from some of these champions. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is flashy, he is flamboyant and all of that, but when it comes to his training, he never jokes with it. Same with Azuma Nelson, same with Ike Bazooka Kwate. I mean, you should visit Aikwate's camp. You should visit Azuma Nelson's camp and see the way they take themselves through pain to make sure that they are ready for those bouts. I mean, look, even on the days when you've prepared, there is that X factor about your opponent that can overwhelm you, let alone no preparation at all. No good preparation, if I may put it that way.
I don't know what I'm just wondering, is it like a PR gimmick gone bad, or they're really being honest about what they're saying? Because if they didn't prepare, I'm wondering that a world champion, a world champion. If you're not prepared, why do you accept a bout?
No, but
it really baffles me.
Yeah, but George, I think that all of
it
it is captured in the news conference and that interview that
the news conference, you said you were
note.
going to knock the guy out.
Okay, so this is it. Dogbe at one point says, look, he came in, he underrated Navarrete.
Yeah.
Which is stock excuse. You don't go, there's nobody who goes.
Well, I believe.
South part.
Okay,
you talk about the South part. You're Mexican. Okay. How do you underrate the Mexican?
No. Navarrete is Orthodox. He's an Orthodox boxer.
How do you underrate the Mexican?
Okay, exactly. I'm sure they saw his tapes, and like we said, Navarrete is not your A-class boxer who's going to give you maximum entertainment.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, off the top of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, these guys looked at his tapes, they thought, oh, this guy, we're going to ride over him. He's not much of a problem. And it was because Dogbe's confidence was at an all-time high. Look, watch the videos of the face-off at the square, at the MSG, after the weigh-in and all of that. And see the way Dogbe was chanting Neho, even at the time when he had to face off with Navarrete for the cameras. I mean, I had never seen Dogbe do that at any news conference or any weigh-in. So it just told you that whatever be the case, in terms of boosting his confidence was at an all-time high. But hey, do not fault him for that, for displaying the confidence. I mean, exhibiting it for everybody to see that, hey, my mind is up there, I'm ready for this. Because for crying out loud, he was the attraction in this fight. He was the champion. So he is permitted to do the big talk. He is permitted to be confident going into this bout. My only problem is that at this stage, after what they've been through, I'm talking about Team Dogbe, after all they've been through, you do not expect such elementary mistakes. Because you see, the thing about ill preparedness should go for boxers who are now looking for opportunities to fight eliminators and make their way into the rankings.
The champion.
It is not for a champion.
Under 6 months or 5 months.
And look, another thing that I would say here, and this is something I would want to repeat. Our good friend Paul Dogbe must understand that when he won the world title, everybody hailed him. And he should also understand that just like Kwesi Appiah of the Black Stars, as things have gone wrong, a lot of feedback will be given to him.
We'll be coming to Paul and about what you have said also. On several portals, we're reading about Ghanaians blaming him. Is he up to scratch to be trainer of Isaac Dogbe? Does he really? Is it the point in time for him to give some things away and say, you know what, I carried my son from nowhere to somewhere, but the next phase, we need a credible hand to train my ward. Let's listen to Paul Dogbe, his interview or explanation after that bizarre loss to Emmanuel Navarrete.
So we thought we were going to knock him out in the third round. So we even bought a polo shirt that had number 3 on it. And then I went out with Isaac. He bought a polo shirt with number 3 on it. And then my wife went out and also bought a polo shirt with number 3 on it. So we all came home with polo shirts with number 3 on it. So we thought we were going to knock this guy out in the round 3. Nobody went out and said we were going to buy a polo shirt. You see the whole thing? So we knew that Otaki was going to go down before the 3. And, God being so good, and Otaki went down.
So you heard there was a planned knockout victory. So the champagne was kept in the eyes for a very long time and it didn't happen. Paul Dogbe is father and trainer of Isaac Dogbe, the dethroned WBO Super Bantamweight title. Must he go now? Is it time for him to reconsider his affiliation with his ward and say, or with his son and say, I carried you to this level. The next phase, I need to bring in Hans. And watching the Wilder tape against a playback against Fury, guess who was in the ring of even alongside Ricky Hatton? Ricky
Hatton was there.
And then Freddie Roach had also come in. So
Yeah.
it's about poaching, credible boxing hands.
Good.
Is it time for the camp to poach?
Good point you've raised. What I will suggest, Ridwan, is a beef up of the corner. And the beef up of the corner then means that the element of Paul Dugbe is still there. You see, there are many angles to boxing. There's the spiritual angle, there's that emotional angle, and there's also that bit about connectivity and, telepathy. If you don't have it with your trainer, you will never ever get it. Look, you study the relationships with Oko Dampton, amazing. Ikote told me something, Arid. Ikote told me that there were days when he would step into the ring, he would start training, and he could just hear Oko speak to him. So all he needed to do was just close his eyes, and he knew what to do. Now it got to a point he could anticipate what Oko Dampton could tell him. You understand me? So in terms of adding to the capacity of the corner, definitely I will go for it. What I will say is keep Paul there, okay, and get someone to do a beef up so that we have a whole team that's been put together. And you've given a wonderful and recent example so that people don't have to go back too much. That Tyson Fury went into this big fight with former world champion Ricky Hatton, a compatriot, and also a celebrated trainer in Freddie Roach. When these people are in your corner, it can do magic for you. What it is Team Dugbe ready to accept that? Is Paul Dugbe, who's in charge now, ready to accept that? That is the very big question. Because sometimes you monitor the pull string and you'd realize, okay, they're not too ready to adapt to this kind of change. So what I'm looking forward to seeing is whether or not, and the question we all need to figure out now is whether or not Paul is ready to do that. If he's ready to do that, way to go. If he's not ready to, then he'd better go and churn out the kind of magic that we need to get Isaac to get back on his feet.
Let's bring in Hans Anderson has joined us. He put up a nice piece on our website just before the bout. We enjoyed reading it. Hans, let me ask you, is it self-implosion, self-destruction for Team Dugbe? They could have done better on this occasion, or you felt that it was one of those fights that even if he stepped in the ring on 20 occasions, he was guaranteed 20 losses against Emmanuel Navarrete?
Absolutely. Now, it's interesting, the second part of your question, because I've been chewing on it actually all morning, that if you look at the golfing class, and I'll emphasize, there was a golfing class between Dugbe and Navarrete. This wasn't a close fight, and so it's somewhat difficult, but you probably look at it and probably concede that, look, if this fight were to happen 20 times, Isaac Dugbe will lose 20 times because of the sheer gap in the capability of the two boxers, at least from what we saw. Now, pre-fight, I sat here on Saturday and didn't give Navarrete a chance against Isaac Dugbe. And a lot of people didn't. If you look at the odds going into the fight, Dugbe was massive favorite to win this fight. And so the fight ends and you look at the difference between Navarrete and Dugbe, and I mean, you are probably tempted to think that if this happens again, Navarrete will still beat Isaac Dugbe, and if it happens again and you beat him, if it happens 20 times, he's likely to lose. That probably points to another thing I've been thinking about. People have been talking about a rematch against Navarrete. Look, it shouldn't happen immediately, because if it does and he loses, he would have dug himself, or he would have sunk deeper, into the hole that he finds himself right now. He needs to dig himself out of the hole, and that will not happen by going straight away for a rematch against Navarrete. I think that he needs to get fights 1 or 2 or 3 to build up his confidence again, because look, this sort of battering takes a mental toll, it takes a psychological toll, and so a straight away rematch for me would not be sensible. He needs to take his time, build his confidence again, build momentum again, build support again, build up mentally, build up psychologically, and then when the time is right, in terms of when he feels that physically he's in the right shape, because I'm sure he also realized the sheer amount of difference, the disparity in the physical conditioning of between him, Isaac Dugbe, and Emmanuel Navarrete. Look, when the fight started, my first round analysis was that Dugbe was doing the right thing in closing the gap to negate the reach of Emmanuel Navarrete, and then from the second round, he wasn't doing that anymore. What I picked up was that he didn't have the physical conditioning to keep it up in terms of because Navarrete was constantly moving. If you realize, he didn't have the physical strength to keep up chasing him and closing that gap. In the end, he also had to, stand at a distance. What it meant simply was that Anytime Navarrete stretched his hands, it got to a target. I mean, it was that simple. Dogbe stretches his hand and it wasn't reaching the target. And so, look, the sheer golf in class means that if this fight happens again, and if Isaac Dogbe doesn't bulk up physically, if he doesn't bulk up mentally, the result is likely to remain the same. I'm very also interested in the question you asked before I got in on the Paul Dogbe bit. I'm surprised he's still the lead trainer for Isaac Dogbe, because when he won the title, he actually mentioned that it was time for him to hand over to a more experienced trainer. And so I'm a bit surprised that he's still the man leading Isaac Dogbe's training. Look, there is only as far as Paul Dogbe can get his son. It gets to a point where you are in the big time. And the big time requires the big trainers, the big names when it comes to training. Nacho Beristain, Robert Garcia. You are talking Freddie Roach. The Mayweathers. These are people who have trained champions, multiple champions, different breed of fighters with different styles, have come against opponents with different styles, have mapped out strategies for different fights. They've seen it all, they've done it all. No disrespect to Paul Dogbe, but as far as trainers goes, he's a novice. And I can't put
he's won a world title.
It doesn't matter.
He's won a world title.
Anybody can win a world title.
Was Saturday's defeat about lack of technical, or it was just that they didn't take the?
It was a huge factor.
Let me tell you, I think the bit of technical direction is apt, and let me tell you why. I disagree with the bit where you tell me that if Dogbe goes into that fight 20 times, he'll lose 20 times. I'm not speaking on sentimental lines. I'm not speaking on sentimental lines. Let me tell you the reason why. We have known Dogbe. We have known Dogbe to be an infighter. And like I said on the night, so many things deserted him, including his traditional trademark style, which is to be an infighter, fighting within the center of the ring and practically being inside of your opponent. And being inside of your opponent is you close the distance, you close the gap. That enables you to use your disadvantage to become or turn your disadvantage into an advantage.
He did that in the first round, by the way.
In the first round.
Okay.
And stop doing
it.
So
because he won the first round.
Yes,
that was clear. So how is it that he couldn't maintain that? Because if he maintained that, we would have told a different story now. So for me, it was a technical deficiency. And I also put up a post on Facebook and said clearly that, look, the corner was deficient on the night, and this failure must be assigned to them. It's as simple as that. Okay? For me, if I look back and observe people like Mike Tyson, who had fought people who had reached, practically almost twice his, and he was able to drop them in the third round and the fourth round.
Simply put, Dogbe didn't have it.
No, not at all.
You see, Ray, but there's a little one here, and because once he started doing it in round one and won round one, I feel like okay, that was the way they wanted to go. Then I'm thinking about Hans's point about lack of physical or lack of being.
It takes a lot physically to.
I don't know if we can come to that. I mean, that's what I'm looking at. If we can come to that, there was a lack of fitness, and so he couldn't keep up with what.
Said his
clearly
were gone. He
just
didn't have the stamina.
So that's clear. The direction was there. Then, but the boxer wasn't able to carry it on.
So I guess we also need to give him some credit for lasting the distance, because that's also a very, very big factor. Let's remember when Oscar De La Hoya fought Ike Bazooka Quartey. He speaks about that experience to date, that he didn't understand why he gave all these barrage of stinging jabs and punches, and Ike Quartey would not go down. You understand me? So that for me is a good statement, and that exactly.
Real quick, you see, the defeat boils down to a combination of factors, and for me, I think that the Dogbes are doing very terrible PR work. Yes, it's okay to concede that we didn't have the best of preparations, but I think that they're overemphasizing it at this level. And again, it points to a certain deficiency.
They need help
when it comes to Paul Dogbe's
team or
Paul Dogbe's abilities as a trainer, because at that level you would know that the last thing you do is to underestimate an opponent. You understand me?
Yeah, at that level.
At that level, the last thing you do is to underestimate an opponent. Secondly, Isaac Dogbe, for as long as I've watched him, has one game plan. It is always to go out there and overpower opponent. Overpower. That is, the primary game plan is to get a knockout and win the fight. that feeds into the style of Mike Tyson a bit. Now, the downside is this, and we came to know Tyson. Once he was figured out not to have the endurance beyond the 5th round, everybody started beating him. And here's a danger. If the other fighters in the division realize that Dogboe lacks the endurance to go beyond unless, of course, they sort it out in training.
Yeah.
But if it becomes a theme that Dogboe is not able to go beyond the 3rd round or the 5th round that Paul Dogboe talked about, then it's likely everybody is going to have a go at him. And everybody will mop up a game plan that ensures that I last beyond the 5th round, and from then on, I will take him out. I think the game plan needs to change, or at the very least, he needs to have the physicality to get a plan B. If he had a plan B in this fight, maybe he could have made adjustments when he realized that physically I can't keep up with the pressure. Because look, Navarrete actually did what Isaac Dogboe was supposed to do. It was constant pressure chasing him down. At a point, Isaac was fighting on the back foot. He was the one running around. Navarrete was the one doing the chasing, when it should have been the opposite because of the reach. And so he needs to get a plan B. And that is where I feel that they desperately need somebody to come in and be the lead trainer. Emphasis on lead trainer. You don't take out Paul Dogboe.
I'm confused at this point in time. In one breath, Paul is saying felicitations, the Hogbechocho festival we attended, the meeting the chiefs, took some time off our training schedule. For me, I thought I just don't want to buy that.
Totally off.
Totally off. And then in one breath, he said they had planned to beat the guy in the 3rd round and even had gone ahead to print a T-shirt.
Okay, so this is it for me. Picking up from where where Hans left off. Team Dogboe has always, or Team Rising Star Africa Promotions has always given us the impression that they are looking forward to putting up a professional setup which will have all the possible elements, so that you have a medical team, you have a physical trainer whom they acquired, they signed on with. He was here for the news conference in Accra the other day, some months back.
So he was part of this preparation?
Yes, he was. He was actually standing behind Dogboe. If you watch him, he was
he did a terrible job.
Okay.
Sorry.
So also that you have a spokesperson, okay? A spokesperson who will have a say as to what goes out at every point in time, especially at a crucial moments like this. Because you see, for all you know, Ghanaians probably would be sympathetic after watching the whole fight and after looking at your trajectory over the years and all of that. But then after listening to you, the posturing towards you may probably change. Yeah. And this is something they need to learn from Hens. Now, this is what I probably would like to wrap up on, because I'd have to go to television. Ridwan, there's a big challenge here. And the challenge is that if Dogboe struggles to make the weight, like his father said, and he moves up, then he's going to face even tougher opponents and even more difficult opponents. Because guess what? If you're moving up to super feather and feather, super featherweight, the lightweight division, you're going to get boxers who are bulkier, who have bigger reach, just like Navarrete, and it is going to be a problem. Ooh. You understand? So we need to rethink all of this. Also, another disadvantage that many have not taken their minds to is the fact that Dogboe weighed less. And when we talk about weighing less than your opponent, one of the easiest and closest examples is Zabdiel Judah going up against a Joshua Clottey in 2008.
That cost him the title.
Almost 13 pounds less. I mean, the weight disparity here was not too much. Yeah. I mean, Dogboe and Navarrete was not too much. But this is the thing with going in and weighing less. We're talking about Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. And a similar thing happened. Yeah. Probably one of the reasons why Tyson Fury was able to perform at that point. Tyson Fury was heavier. You understand me? And you see, in boxing, we're dealing with weights here at the end of the day. And so when you start struggling to make a weight, then you know you have a little bit of a problem, because your build aligns you to a certain weight class. You're comfortable there if you have to move. I mean, look, let's take a look at Ike Quartey and how he ended his career. He ended his career on the note of a loss to his his childhood friend, Ronald Winky Wright in Las Vegas. And clear example, Wright was the taller boxer, he had the reach, and his natural area or space of comfort was the middleweight division. Ike Quartey was coming in from welterweight. So we have a bit of a problem on our hands. However, in saying all of these, it is up to Team Dogbe to accept that they have a deficiency. There is help all over the world. They've got the networking. If they want to beef up, they can beef up this very minute. No. But the question is, are they ready and willing to accept what has gone on?
Across before you go, and maybe Hans can join us. What does this do to this partnership with Bob Arum?
Thank you very much. I fear a little bit because of what I've seen with some of our boxers and boxers from this side of the world.
On a short term, right?
Okay.
Short term, 6 months or something.
Thank you very much. So we heard Bob Arum, during the good times say, "Oh, we're visiting Ghana." Yeah. I am looking forward to seeing whether Bob Arum will honor the promise of visiting Ghana, especially after this, dent in, Dogbe's record. I'm looking forward to seeing whether if he doesn't come to Ghana, I won't be surprised.
And after hearing what the father said.
Exactly. If Bob Arum doesn't come to Ghana, I won't be surprised. Because guess what? There are so many boxers of Mexican descent, of American descent, who are leaning the ropes and are looking forward for these opportunities which Dogbe currently has. And so nobody really has time to think about you, the boxer, who's coming from this side of the world. They also have their interest, and they have interest to push. They have boxers to push, and they've got peculiar interests. So it surely is going to be a difficult path that Dogbe is going to travel. However, all said and done, Dogbe still has the name. Dogbe is still a force to reckon with in the division. What we all do not realize as well is that in the super bantamweight division, we have a different champion for each sanctioning body. Absolutely. There's a different champion at WBC, a different one at WBA, WBO, and the IBF.
Let's get the IBF. That's where Terence
because Terence Doheny does not immediately have the first two contenders to whom he's supposed to do a mandatory defense.
I think we have to end the Dogbe discussion
real quick. Final say on the Dogbe.
Thinking about the Dogbe fight, it's a number 2 contender.
Yes.
Not a number 1 contender. Yeah.
Real quick. But number 1 and number 2 are all within. When you're granting a mandatory defense, you can give the opportunity to either the number 1 or the number 2.
Okay, but you see,
but they could equally be real quick on Dogbe. I think that, and I made that point earlier on. Look, the rematch is okay, but it is not supposed to be the immediate thing on his mind because of the nature of the defeat. I think that he will take a toll psychology. Look, if you put Dogbe in the ring against Navarrete today, he'll doubt himself. Make no mistake. He'll ask questions of himself. Will I be able to close the gap in terms of the defeat, the man of the defeat? Will I be able to use everything? Will I be able to keep up the pressure? Will I be able to handle what he's going to deliver? I think that there were moments in the fight that Isaac Dogbe was shocked. There were moments where he was bemused. He couldn't believe what was being thrown at him, even though he was taking them. And so it shouldn't be the immediate thing on his mind. I think that a rematch should happen, but it must not happen instantly. Let him take a fight or two. Let him prepare well. Let him find himself in a good place mentally. And then let them begin to consider it. I hope and pray that Top Rank and Bob Arum will stick, with Isaac Dogbe.
That's not easy.
But of course, when it comes to Bob Arum, it's about the number games.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not easy.
Navarrete has got the entire Hispanic community.
And Hans, your interviews after didn't help the game. I mean, the interviews after and around the world, we just say, "Wash, this champion wasn't serious." I mean, that's
way too many excuses.
That's how it feels.
Way too many lame excuses.
Inconsistencies.
They need to do a better PR job.
Bad PR. Guys, I think we have to wrap it up on Isaac Dogbe. But hey, midweek also, and we've got the final installment of Champions League matches to end the group phase as Liverpool going to come out of the competition. Now, we've got it tight now. Starting tomorrow is Club Brugge versus Atletico Madrid in Group A. Also, Monaco versus Borussia Dortmund in Group B. Barcelona will play against Spurs. That's the big one there for you. And Spurs, can they? It looks very, very tight. And Inter playing against PSV. PSV Eindhoven, they say, in the other game. It looks very much in their favor. Inter, Kojima Samuel's Inter, might qualify alongside Barcelona to the next phase. And then we've got Red Star Belgrade playing against Paris Saint-Germain, Liverpool, Napoli. That's the big game, for tomorrow. We have to talk about this one, George.
Yeah.
It's Liverpool versus Napoli on top of the table at the weekend, beating or winning 4-1. That was a huge scoreline. And going into this game, what does it do to their future? And also, will Napoli bottle it up and allow Paris Saint-Germain and Liverpool go through to the next stage?
Well, I think Liverpool said it looked in 2004-2005 where they had to scrape that. They had to beat Olympiacos again by 1-0. In the end, they ended up winning that game by 3-1, even though they went down by a goal. I think, Rivaldo got the goal in there. So they're hoping that this is going to happen for them again. But I think Redouane, Napoli have travelled very well. With Ancelotti, you should have realised that they had a draw at Red Star Belgrade and drew as well when they went to Paris Saint-Germain.
The miracle of Istanbul happened against Ancelotti.
Yes, and as well. So there's a lot. You see the connection. And that was the very year they needed that result to qualify, and they went and won it against Ancelotti. So this is a special tie. I feel that Napoli would deserve to go through. Liverpool have thrown this away. But Anfield Nights could be something else. And this should be a wonderful game. Everybody has a chance in this one. And Liverpool must remember that if they lose this game and Red Star Belgrade win, which is a possibility, they might be totally out of it. No Europa chance for them as well.
Absolutely.
For us, the neutrals, I mean, we are set to see a massive game at Anfield. Liverpool live. They say they live for these nights. You reference the miracle of Istanbul, and we could be seeing a similar game on our
Napoli,
hands.
They couldn't shoot. They didn't have one shot on target.
That was the most.
But
Napoli handled them well.
I think we are going to see a different game.
No shot on target.
No shot on target.
Yeah, absolutely.
Napoli, the first game.
The difference is going to be Carlo Ancelotti, because he's experienced a similar game against Liverpool where they managed to get one over him. But I think that is going to be interesting. Jurgen Klopp is going to throw everything at Napoli. Also, the difference is that Napoli, I don't think they are going to sit back. Even if they do sit back, they'll find a fine balance between defending resolutely and
Insigne
at the back.
So ruthless counter-attacking football.
Koulibaly.
Yeah.
Is not in top form.
Yeah, probably the best central defender in the world.
There's a bit
at the
of uproar
moment.
when I think one of the websites rated him as the 9th. ESPN rated him as the 9th centre back, and people were they just had to rip into him. Also on Champions League night, Galatasaray will play against FC Porto and Schalke and against Lokomotiv Moscow in that game as well. And guys, before we go, wrapping it up all. Kumasi Asante Kotoko traveling to Kenya, and they leave tomorrow to play against Kariobangi Sharks FC in the CAF Confederation Cup. They are Ghana's sole representatives in the competition. But to what extent will the lack of competitive football since May and also the high altitude in Kenya pose a threat to their campaign?
That will be the main opponents will be playing against, the fact that there is no competitive football. I think that they've whipped up a lot of confidence. I already hear that famous tune that fans of Koroko sing, Team Naye, because they beat the Black Meteors by 3-0.
And also Interlife.
and also Interlife as well. And so they've managed to whip up a lot of confidence going into that game. But the biggest drawback for them is a lack of competitive action on the local scene. Hopefully they're able to overcome that. Within a short period that CK Akona has been in charge, if you go by the result, I think that he's done some fantastic work. To what extent that will be telling, we'll have to wait and see, because continental football is an entirely different ball game. You can look at it and say, well, it's a Kenyan club, but hey, their national team beat our Black Stars, and so we need to be very wary of that. But we can only wish them well.
But in recent times, a lot of investments have gone into Kenyan football. And can that also be, play a key role in this tie?
It could. I mean, all over the continent, countries are making massive investment. We've seen Mauritania qualify for their first ever Africa Cup of Nations because of investment that they've made over the years. It's not only about making the investment, it's about having a very good plan. We've seen South Africa make massive investment into women's football. It was telling in the women's AFCON. So you cannot go into a game looking at a club or a country as minnows when it comes to the African continental game. They need to take them seriously. Hopefully, Koroko will not be singing the same tune that we are listening to Paul Dogbe and Isaac Dogbe sing.
Absolutely. Hans, George Ade Jr., Nathaniel Arthur joining me here for the Joy Sports track with me, Redouane Ibrahim Asante. Until next week when we come your way. There's more news also on our pages, our social media pages, buzzing with news. Also, we have it on our website, myjoyonline.com. Click on the sports button. From the entire production team, from Joseph Agbekli. I struggle to mention his surname every time. And to you out there, thanks for your contributions, your reactions to the stories we posted on our pages. From me, again, is goodbye. News at 2 is coming up next, but first, we've got announcements from Catherine Asamoah.
Good afternoon. May I have your attention for the following announcement?